Hi everyone. Some of you have asked me to follow up on my previous video that was just sent out a couple of days ago. And you've been asking about what do we do to get prepared? Well, for me, preparedness in part is know thy enemy. And one of the things today I wanted to do was books. I do a lot of reading and a lot of research. I do a lot of that online, but for me, nothing replaces a tangible book. When I read, I do not usually read on the computer unless I absolutely have to. I will read an actual physical book. So I have a small library upstairs and downstairs in my home, books that I've collected over years and years and years. And today I wanted to share with you a few of those books for 5 in particular, and I'm going to group one kind of together, or we can look at it as 5 plus 2 bonus. And I want to share with you a little bit about what each of these books is, but to help you understand the enemy, what we are actually up against. And so the real enemy is communism, and they have a secret weapon that I will share with you at the end of this video. I'm going to provide the links to as many of these books as possible below. Please, I don't know how long some of these books will remain available. If you're interested, click the link, purchase the book. Happy reading. So, book number 1 that I suggest that everybody read is Frank Dikötter. I've mentioned them before. The first one is The Tragedy of Liberation. It is an easy read, and it's actually somewhat an enjoyable read, but it is very clear about how socialism takes hold, the promises, the game plan, the strategies that they use, and it kind of wraps it all together in a nice summary. It is book 1 of 3 books. So here's your first one in understanding how the communist mind works. And it is based upon China and Mao. So The Tragedy of Liberation, book number 1. And then you also have Mao's Great Famine, which follows that one, and The Cultural Revolution. Some of these you can see I've had stickers in them because I've actually spoken to them before. I typically tend to highlight my books, which is I will never sell a book because they're always marked up. But there is 3 great books that you can start with if you really truly want to understand China and the communist system. The next one I want to talk to is George Orwell's 1984. Again, I'm trying to find books that people can find easy to read and somewhat pleasant to read, but still prove a very important point. And 1984, for me, I read it in high school, and I actually physically went out and repurchased this book because I didn't have a physical copy of it just this past year in 2020. And strongly recommend that you read this one. It's just a great story, and it is so foretelling of what has happened today. So there's book number 2 or book number 4, however you choose to look at it. The next one is Wilhelm Reich. This is not a common book, not necessarily the easiest find, but it's called Listen, Little Man. And this one talks a lot about the individual person and our mindset and how we get trapped or manipulated into this power that goes on. And, you know, just to give you a quick, you know, he talks about at first naively, then with amazement, and finally with horror. Well, we're, I think, at a little bit at the naive stage right now. Let's hope that when we get to the amazement, we actually start waking up and we're aware and we're prepared for what's to come. So there's my books. The last one I'm going to talk to you about is The Little Black Book of Communism. It is almost impossible to find, and it's not a little black book. It's a very thick book. I can't show it to you because it's actually in another location right now, but it takes history written by a number of different scholars, and it breaks it down in both Vietnam and Pol Pot. It looks at China, Russia, every communist country, and the horrors under communism. The Gulag Archipelago. is the last one I'm going to suggest. This is not an easy read. It is a very large book. It is not an easy read, but it has tremendous facts, details, information in it. And of course, because China wasn't the original communist state, you know, a lot of it started from here. It is a great foundation to understanding the role that Russia played in establishing China, for one, and the role that communism has played and the atrocities that have been committed under the communist regime. Now, the secret weapon you wanted to know. It's not so secret. It's been out and about for a very long time. And Khrushchev's prediction in 1959, at that time, Khrushchev, who was the Russian president, had delivered a speech. And here was his speech. I'm not going to do all of it. I'm just going to do parts of it. But it talks about your children's children will live under communism. He talks about Americans being gullible. I would say we're naive, not necessarily gullible. And you won't accept communism outright, but we will keep feeding you small doses of socialism until you will finally wake up and find you already have communism. I believe, goal accomplished, we are there. We will not fight you. We will so weaken your economy until you will fall like overripe fruit into our hands. The democracy will cease to exist when you take away from those who are willing to work and give to those who would not. Serb, just saying. Remember, socialism leads to communism. So, how do you create a socialist state? He gave us the game plan back in 1959, and we have chosen, obviously, to either ignore it as of late, or we have forgotten it. But whatever it is, here's the game plan. Healthcare. Control health, you control people. Vaccines. Just saying. Poverty. Increase the poverty level as high as possible. Poor people are easier to control and will not fight back if you provide everything for them. This is the danger of a large government proposing to have the answer and the solutions to everything we do. Debt. Trillions of dollars of debt today. Every individual is in debt. The majority of Americans could not afford an emergency beyond $200 to $500. That's how bad the debt situation is. Increase the debt to an unsustainable level. Well, I think we are getting there if we haven't already surpassed that. That way you are able to increase taxes, and this will produce more poverty. It will also put people in a position where when the government offers a debt relief program to follow through on the Great Reset and Klaus Schwab's "you will own nothing and be happy," debt is a great tool to use to get there. Gun control. Well, we've already seen what the government has proposed there. Banning guns left, right, and center in Canada. The Democrats, sorry guys, you're not going to be exempt from that. You are getting the exact same thing under Biden that we are getting here under Trudeau. They are not done with coming for your guns quite yet. But it is remove the ability for people to defend themselves from the government. Notice he doesn't say from each other, it's from the government. That way you are able to create a police state. Well, you don't have far to look today to see the police state. We have people being arrested for skating on ponds. Welfare, take control of every aspect, food, housing, income, and their lives, because that will make them fully dependent on the government. Serb, let's kill all the small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, the entrepreneur. Not only are they destroying the economy, they are destroying people's will, they are destroying people's hope, they are destroying people's very spirit so that they will not want to fight back. So again, know thy enemy. Religion, remove the belief in God from the government. We've already done that. We've already taken it out of schools. Which is what he says here, because the people need to believe in only the government, knowing what is best for the people. Well, we the people established the government, and most free countries established a government that gave people their rights and freedoms granted by God, not government. So again, you can only serve one master. It is either God's law or government's law. We need to choose. Class warfare. Divide the people. You will see that in these stories. This is how they get their little grubby hands on people. They divide us. We end up fighting ourselves. Snitches. Anybody who has ever reported a neighbor, and I know there are people out there who have done that, shame on you. That is a disgusting, disgusting act. You have no idea what you are doing. But class warfare, he states, divide the people into the wealthy and the poor. Note there are only two classes here. The middle class is gone. There are two classes. And I'm not even going to say the wealthy and the poor, because it's not the wealthy and the poor. It is going to be the political class and the rest of us. So keep that in mind. Eliminate the middle class. This will cause more discontent, and it will be easier to tax the wealthy with the support of the poor. So again, turning one person against another. This, a perfect parallel to basically what you're seeing right now, the Democrat agenda and the Liberal agenda here in Canada. Go get informed. Know thy enemy. Prepared, step number 1. Thanks for watching.